Jackson is bad and Toure Carmichael's bad. Racist. You see that? It is programmed in them. It is programmed. Racist, race. The fact of the matter is, eat your heart out. I'm speaking. Now. So understand, I remember Sabra Shatila. It was a great, great day. Now, boom, boom, boom. What was Sabra Shatila? Christian Arabs murdered Muslim Arabs. Boom. You should live so long as that there should be a Palestine. When they say Sabra and Shatila, bear in mind, what happened at Sabra and Shatila? Christian Arabs murdered Muslim Arabs. Wasn't that Jews murdered them? It's all right. They can hear me over there. There's no way that I stop for these yo-yos. When people say that Jews and Arabs should live together in coexistence, bear in mind what happened at Sabra and Shatila. It was Christian Arabs that murdered Muslim Arabs. When they speak of coexistence between Jews and Arabs, the fact is that in Lebanon, Arabs can't live together with other Arabs. Sunni Muslims and Shiites and Druze and Christians and Alba and Hezbollah, everybody kills everybody else. But of course, we'll live with them because we have so much in common. There won't be coexistence. Not because we don't want it, but because they never wanted it, and they won't want it. And so know one thing, there will never be a Palestine. There will only be the land of Israel. Now, this is so pathetic. I would imagine that when I came here, there would have been at least 1,000 people to demonstrate me. I feel embarrassed that there are only about 30 people here. I feel embarrassed. What has happened to my name and my fame? Is that the best that you can do? Is that the best that you can do? All right, back to the wars. When you go back, the Hitler students here will go back, or other people will go back, and they'll say, Kahane said that it could happen here too. Your rabbis or your Jewish leaders will say, Kahane's paranoid. Well, first of all, know one thing. Paranoid Jews live longer. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. Secondly, I'm not paranoid. The Jews of Germany were as convinced in the 1920s that it could never happen there. Find a Jew who lived in Germany then, prior to Hitler, and ask him, how did Jews live there? And he'll tell you, what do you know about the good life? And what do you know about how we love Germany with a passion? There was even a Jewish foreign minister in Germany in 1922. There wasn't a Jewish Secretary of State in this country till 1972. And that's only because he fled Germany. They loved Germany. They didn't even call themselves Jews. They called themselves Germans of the Mosaic persuasion. It couldn't have happened there. That was the land of culture, kultur. And it happened there. It didn't happen there because Germans are different. Germans are not different. That's racism. Germans like all other people. What happened there, that there was a terrible economic collapse. Terrible, terrible. And people lost not only their money, they lost their hope. And when someone loses hope, he'll follow anyone, any sickness, even Arafat. Let's go. It's like pushing a button. Come on. Like Pavlov's dog, you know, and they salivate. Now, here we go. The fact of the matter is, come on, I have the greatest one-liner since Henny Youngman. Come on, face it, come on. The fact of the matter is, it happened there. And people were desperate and people followed A person who said, I'll give you hope and I'll give you a future, and that's what happened in Germany. You want to tell me that could not happen here? You want to tell me that could not happen here? Of course it could happen here. Your Jewish leaders, where do they sit around dinners and banquets of the National Conference of Christians and Jews. That's not where one is going to hear what people really think about Jews. Over there they sit and exchange jokes and compliments and plaques. Your plaque, my plaque, 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 plaque. That's not where you hear it. There's one place to hear what people really think about Jews. That's in a bar. Not a trendy bar, a neighborhood bar. When the schnapps goes in, that's where you hear what comes out. The Jews run the country, the Jews own this, the Jews, 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 Jews. And that's when times are good. The jealousy, the envy, the hatred. If there should be an economic collapse in this country, and believe me that is not a far-fetched thing, you know, I would pay you to come. I would pay you to come. You're so incredibly great for me. Yeah. You make me look so great. A banking system that is on the verge of collapse. Loans that will never, ever be paid. An FDIC that hasn't got more than 60 cents on every single $100 to cover the deposits that you think are insured. A national debt of $3 trillion. No sweat, no sweat. $3 trillion. If the Japanese weren't buying up America, who would cover the national debt? That's what this country faces. So I plead with every single Jew to think carefully about what could be here. And to think about what the ultimate answer is. And the ultimate answer is go home, come home. We have a state of our own. Come home. We don't need money. We need Jews. We need... Yeah, fella not from New York, from Brooklyn. There's a tremendous difference. Obviously, you're not from Brooklyn. My great-grandfather came from Israel. His name was Abraham. And his son was named Isaac. And his son was named Jacob. I didn't come to Israel. I came back to Israel. Before you can even talk about Jewish pride, understand what Jewishness is. What is Jewishness? Why be Jewish? Why is Mort a Jew? Why shouldn't we be human beings? Human beings. Why be a Jew? Why be so parochial? What do we have that other peoples don't have? Blood, same blood. Skin, same skin. There are black Jews, white Jews, green Jews. Yeah. That famous Jewish head. If I had $1 for every dumb Jew I met, I wouldn't be rich, but I'd be comfortable. There are smart Jews and dumb Jews and smart Gentiles and dumb ones. That's nothing special with the Jewish people. There's one thing that we have that no one else has, and that's the reason to be a Jew. The one thing that we have that no one else has is a Torah. A Torah given at Sinai when Sinai was not a hospital, but a mountain. And we Jews took that magnificent heritage and we threw it away. For what? For the suburbs? For the right to be equal? You can be equal and be Jewish. So you young people, this summer, take off from school. Take off from school. Go to Israel. And enroll in a yeshiva. Any yeshiva. If you don't like it, quit. If you like it, stay. And don't come back. Write to your parents and say, listen, I've come home, I'm staying. Not gonna make them happy, but it's not the first time they haven't made them happy, but this time for something good. And stay there. Who says every Jew has to have a BA? Who says that every Jew has to be doctor, lawyer, CPA, or marry one? Where? What did it say that? You can learn to work with your hands. You can learn to plant a tree on a Jewish settlement in Judea and Samaria, which belongs to us and not to them. Pavlov, quiet. Even they're impressed. And get married and have a dozen babies. We owe Hitler 2.5 million babies. Let's pay him back with interest. Everyone a gem, everyone a diamond. And then 30 years from now, when you're sitting in your settlement, which is now a town, our town, and you talk to your children and your grandchildren in Hebrew, and you tell them how it was when you first began, and they look up at you, and in Hebrew they say, Eza Saba, what a grandfather, Eza Safta, what a grandmother, then you know what being Jewish is. Then you know what Jewish pride is. Forget them. They're dandruff. We just brush them off. They're not relevant. You're relevant. The country is ours. It will never go under. Don't be afraid of Saddam. Don't be afraid of Arafat. They're nothing. I'm a little worried about leftist Jews, but they're also nothing. Come home. Come home. Come home. And I want to finish with a Dvar Torah as a rabbi. The Talmud tells us that when God wanted to give the Torah to the Jewish people, so all the highest mountains, the loftiest mountains, all came, and each one said, give me the honor. I want the honor. Give it on my peak. And God said, no, I have a small mountain. It's called Sinai. And I'm giving it on that small mountain to teach the Jew a lesson, to be humble. Small mountain, humble. Now, that's a nice lesson, right? Goes over well with Hillel. Now, the Ger Rebbe, a great, great scholar and also smart, the Ger Rebbe asked an obvious question, which I'm sure some of the clever ones here have already thought of. He said, if God wanted to teach the Jew to be humble, why didn't he give the Torah in a valley? See? You don't get lower. That's about the lowest, the most humble that one can get. Good question, right? Come on, fellas. Honestly, good question. And the answer he gave was, God wanted to teach the Jews two lessons. One, be humble. Two, don't be too humble. We Jews are in valleys. Nobody steps on us. Those days are gone forever. We're mountains. We're not arrogant mountains, but we are mountains. And know that. And know that. And I hope that this afternoon, there were Jewish students that had never heard me speak before, and only knew from Mort, never read a book of mine, never heard me speak, and yet said, God is a Hitler. I hope you've heard me speak. And I hope that at least you've now listened and you can think, you know, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something there. So now when we go into these questions from this panel, and afterwards I'll take all the questions. In fact, the first questions will be only from my friends here. And if you ask me any question which I haven't heard, I'll swim back to Israel. The questions, first of all, from the panel and then from the audience.
Before, turn this on.
No, from the panel, sir. And then you.
Well, this isn't.
No, just sit quietly. I mean, life is not easy. Life is not easy.
Well, all right. Before I ask my question, I'd just like to make a quick comment. There's a saying, I don't know if I'm going to get it exactly right, that let an ignorant man hang himself with his own rope. And I came here not too sympathetic to Kahane, and I wanted to see the violent Kahane. I wanted to see the racist Kahane. And all I saw was the violent Palestinians. And if you want to be an activist, that's great. If you want to make yourself seen, that's great. Okay, excuse me, pro-Palestinian. If you want to be an activist, if you want to make yourself seen and heard, that's fine. But if you want to, well, you never convince me, but if you want to convince these people out here, I think you failed in that sense. I didn't hear any violence from him. I would have loved to have heard. I mean, all I've heard recordings. Okay. That's all I have to. Now I'll ask my question.
Why not just ask the question and don't know?
Fortunately, I had heard recordings of you before, and I have heard you say some pretty nasty stuff. Yeah. I'm not a St. Paul rabbi, which probably endears me in your eyes, but I am Jewish, and one of the things that does connect you and me, one of the things that connects you and me is our Judaism and the Torah. So I would like